A very warm welcome. And today's session is about two beautiful books will be presented by Maria ma'am and Sangeeta ma'am. A little introduction about myself. I am a certified international life skills trainer, soft skills trainer, and I also do this story crafting. And I have my own company by the name Sprinkle Entertainment. I'm the founder. And very recently, I was being honored as one of the top women leadership achiever for the year 2022. And I've also won a Best Presenter Award from the Motivational Talks. I've also been a part of this beautiful community, a Pick a Book, and have been judged in various competitions related to children and the adults too. So I will have a warm welcome to all of you. A little introduction about this beautiful community by the name Pick a Book. Pick a Book is basically 1 minute. It's an initiative to nature to nurture the habit of reading in each and everyone. For us to develop the love for reading books, and it also helps us to have a better communication skills and public speaking skills and social interactions. It also helps us to present ourselves. So all these skills are developed under Pick a Book sessions. As and when we read, it helps us to understand more about the presentation skills, the communication and public speaking skills. It's an impactful movement founded based on a social pattern that bloom positively through connecting with readers, community, and grow more together towards progress of their self development. Uh, Pick a Book has various segments. They have various feathers to their cap, such as Pick a Book clubs, Pick a Book junior clubs, Pick a Book students, corporates, and also for fab teens. Pick a Book has about 1,000 plus members globally. 1 lakh plus lives have been inspired with our community. 500 plus books have been presented. We also have been located in Sri Lanka, India, United Kingdom, and Singapore. So today's session, um, I give a very warm welcome to Maria ma'am, Maria Mukabla. She's a wonderful speaker and she's also a writer and entrepreneur. Um, Yes, she's a professional writer and entrepreneur practicing in Nagpur. She's also a certified business consultant and value the power of ideation and innovation. She's an inspiring yogi and she loves traveling, journaling, gardening, and meticulously cleaning her surroundings. That's wonderful. I welcome Maria Mukabla for the session. Hi, Maria. Good evening.
Hi,
How are
Simran.
you?
Good evening. I'm good. How are you?
Great. A little introduction about your book today. What are you presenting? What does the book say?
My book has been written a long time back, a long time back in the 1900s, by a very amazing author, Franz Fanon, The Wretched of the Earth. And it's a post-colonial literature. It's a modern classic.
Okay, fine, ma'am. I would like to invite the second presenter today, Sangeeta Chowdhury. She's born in Bangalore and now she's been settled in Vizag after her marriage. She loves talking to people, so she's more of she interacts with people to know more about them. She's always ready to help. She's also a problem solver. She can work very well in crisis management. She really knows how to get things done and last woman standing at the parties. That's fantastic. She has two handsome boys, 20 years and 16 years respectively, and a very smart husband who always supports her, a very supportive husband. Whatever she does, he guides her through, and whenever she's confused, he comes up with uh, the solution, which will help her. She's a businesswoman, deals in nature stones, wall cladding. She's also she's a designated event manager for corporate and wedding events, and also a travel agent, providing her services both to domestic and international sector. And that's very wonderful. I would like to invite Sangeeta ma'am to join us, please.
Good
Hi
evening,
Sangeeta,
Shivani.
good evening, how are you?
I'm
uh,
good. How are you?
Good. Okay, little a light on the book what you're presenting today.
What the book what I'm presenting today is all about, a love story. How a person can fall in love the second time. So it is all about that. So how it is in the view of, the author, how he, in his point of view, how the book goes. That's the
Okay.
thing.
Okay, that's fantastic. I'm looking forward for it. Maria, ma'am, if at all you're not working, if when I can see that how hectic is your schedule, if there is a day where you're not working, so what is that you would love to do other than that?
Mostly, I think I do a lot of planning, so I do a lot of journaling, and then again, like I would like to mention in my bio, I like to garden, I like to clean, and then maybe catch up on all everybody's calls, family and friends. Yeah.
Oh, that's great, fantastic. Family time then. What about Sangeeta, ma'am? If at all you've been given a day where you're not working on your professional front, what would you do?
Basically, I'm a kind of person, I need people around me, and who can be, more better than friends. So
Okay,
I call them up, either go talk to them or we go out for a coffee or something. Friends are like, stress busters for me.
true.
So, that's the only thing I can say that I do when I'm not doing anything other than my work.
Okay, that's great. Maria, ma'am, if at all, there is that one thing that you would like to change about yourself, if at all you've been given that time or the opportunity, what is that you would like to do it?
I think with what I've said about myself, I think less planning and let things be the way they are. Not being too involved with, what if things don't work out? That really does not work with me. So,
Okay.
yeah, less planning.
Okay, great. What about Sangeeta, ma'am? What would you do?
For me, it's like more of planning. I what
Okay,
I
there's an
do.
opposite here. Okay.
What I do is like, I'm like instant, instant. If anybody is saying anything, I'm very instant. I'm like, okay, things go really, hand to hand with me, like I can do one thing, like that. But the only thing what I don't do is like planning. I don't do things with plan, you know, like that, which I think I need to change in myself. And the kind of, laid back, sometimes I show that kind of attitude of laid back thing. I think I need to change that in me, which
Okay.
my husband will be really happy about. There's some changes in come in her.
No, we all do that. You know, there is a nice word with the procrastination. We all put forward our work, and when the deadline comes, we are there running around for it.
Exactly, that's what I am.
Okay, great. Maria, ma'am, we will start with this session. Could you please talk about your today's book presentation, the about the author and about the book?
Okay. So, I have the book with me here. It's Franz Fanon, The Wretched of the Earth. Okay. And like I said earlier, it's a modern classic, and this book is actually a collection of all his theoretical essays. Okay, so it was written in the time when Algeria was invaded by the French, and he's an Algerian native, and he's also a little about the author. He was born in Martinique, France, and he studied medicine, and he also specialized in psychiatry. So, like I said, he wrote this book when French invaded Algeria, Okay, and he wrote all his theories about colonialism and the impact it has upon on the on the psychology, on how on the nation collectively. So it is all his theories, and he speak with a very collective narrative, which is he's not segregating how things were in Algeria and how they were different with Africa or Asia, because back then in the 1900s, 1800s, and 1900s, the entire globe, like four-fifths of the globe, was actually being colonized by Europeans. So we know India was colonized by England, and then then Africa was colonized. Asia, a large part of a lot of Asian countries were colonized. Then Latin America was colonized. So when he talks in this book, he's not talking specifically about Algeria, but he's talking collectively of all the nations and what they go through. Okay, so the book is, like I said, it is in a long theoretical essays. So they are the four main chapters that are there in the book. Are one is of violence and how it is perpetuated. The second is the strengths and weaknesses of the natives. Natives are the ones who are already belonging to the land. Third is of national culture. Fourth is of colonial war and mental disorders. Okay, so a little about the book. The book, because they're essays and because it's written in a kind of cold rage, because he is a native being colonized by French. So it's been written in cold rage, the writing, and the writing actually, through all the chapters, goes through the processes of colonizers, how they settle on the land, how they are forming colonies. When they're after forming colonies, the next thing is how they're establishing the industries and modes of earning, and after that, how they are getting into administration and policies, political policies, and through all those processes of colonization, the kind of impact it has on the psyche of the natives. Now, the main themes about post-colonial literature or post-colonialism, or the authors who have written around that time, so they mostly talk about the white skin being superior to the exotic skin of the natives. Okay, so the settlers' white skin, their habits, their way of clothing, the way of their staying in, or the kind of houses they create, or the colonies they create, compared to the native land. Okay, so there's a very strong binary between them being very established, very to put the word, very structured and very ahead of ahead of their times compared to natives. So that's the first step, where the natives feel very overwhelmed, and um, they feel very inferior, to put it that way. So that is one of the things. The skin color, how they perpetuate racism through the color, how they have perpetuated globally, how the white skin is superior to a dark skin. Then the concept of mysticism and traditions and rituals uh, was considered barbaric compared to rational, structured religion. So most Europeans followed a structured and rational religion compared to what the natives followed. That is traditions, dances, folklore, then rituals, and then a lot of a lot of us know how it was in India also.
Yes.
Yeah. Then another themes that has been talked about in post-colonial literature is a lot of rage and aggressiveness that was perpetuated by force, and that came about because Europeans came with guns, and they came with weaponry that was very advanced, and that to some extent made the natives feel very inferior, because they had nothing to oppose that level of torture, because they had indigenous weapons and the settlers had guns. So that was one way they dominated and created that. Yeah, created domination for years over the natives who actually belong to the land. And also submission to authority, because they came with their own language, they came with their own policies, they came with their own methods of administration, they came with education, they came with trade. And a lot of third world countries, they had all of this, only that none of it was institutionalized. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so Franz Fanon also talks very deeply about how that has penetrated into the psyche. We also know now that English is a global language, and it's the second important language for us in India also. So
Yes.
that has ekolta hai na, it's a Dane of Europeans, the Dane of English, that they have left the language to us. So that's also one impact of colonization that we are in, because we are not speaking our native languages.
Correct.
Okay, and then also he talks about what happens in the process of liberalization and what goes on when there's war. And once the war is over, what happens to the nation when they leave? Because over the years, when a lot of people have, the entire nation has been dominated by Europeans, by Westerners. When they leave, you can imagine that the nation goes through chaos, because there's lack of administration, there's lack of domination. So people who have lived in slavery, people who have lived in submission, uh, they are not able to cope. They do not know how to deal. They do not know decision making. So he talks about that, and then he also talks about how the main economic climate of the nations that colonizers, colonized for years, cannot drastically change, because employment was largely given by colonizers, and trade was largely given. So when they left, we were still dependent on them in terms of trade. So such on those facets about national culture. And then he talks about very deeply about mental disorders. So do I have time? I would like to discuss one of the mental disorders, if I do.
Yes, yes, definitely, ma'am. In between, I have one question. When you talk about colonization and how the submission and the slavery part, what exactly happened? Like, the post-colonial psychology violence. How do we understand that process?
Okay, because slavery was perpetuated, because when they came in and gave, they started trade and they established industries, they employed natives. Okay, and they exploited them by not giving them salaries. They exploited them by corruption. They exploited them uh, by slavery, in the sense that they were not even given any wages, or very
Hmm.
minimal wages, or the wages were in the form of food. Okay,
Okay.
so they were exploited that way,
Okay.
through industries. And submission was formed in the sense that the colonies they formed, the industries they formed, they were largely leaders over
Okay.
there. So the people of the land who were actually living in the land, when they would look at those houses, or they would look at those industries, and they would look how they were giving employment. Obviously, they would feel inferior towards them. So submission came very naturally, also but mostly because it was also perpetuated in the natives' mind, that this again, that white skin is superior. We are educated, we are rational, we are not barbaric. We have policies. We are here to administer you. We are here to discipline you. So that's how submission came in, and then later slavery. Yeah.
As in when you're reading through this, it's all reminding our ancestors and how the pre and post of independence, how things went around. So this really brings there's a whole picture which is in front of our eyes. Thank you so much, Maria ma'am. Maria ma'am, another question. If you could share any of the examples where that connect with the Indian environment in the post-colonial era.
Okay, with the Indian environment, I would say that a lot of new things started out in the Indian environment in the post-colonial era. One of them is religious fundamentalism, and
Hmm.
that is because we face partition. Okay, and I think to some extent, I feel that post-colonial, has that psychological violence is still there because that's still been perpetuated with
Yes.
Hindus and Muslims. So that religious fundamentalism for Hindus. Okay, the another thing was victimization and the position of women. There was a patriarchy that was perpetuated, and I think before that, India was not patriarchal largely. Then India also went through a very multifaceted identity as a nation because
True.
didn't know how to identify, because
Yes.
other countries identify through religion, some identify through commerce, some identify through secularism, and India had a very colored
Diversified. Yes.
identity, and because it's so diverse through language, through
True.
religion, culture, caste,
Culture, tradition, everything.
everything. So we went through that, and then suddenly, because they left when they also were part of when we were building our own administration, right? So they left. So most of their administration or the policies that are there in the Indian constitutions, most of it also has been influenced by the Europeans. So we are carrying their structures of
Yes.
administration.
Yes.
So we, while creating the constitution, the sufferings and the differences of the natives and of the country was not largely considered, because again we lack the decision making and leadership in our own thought process.
True.
And then
Yes.
broken families, death,
True.
massacre, and loss, and then the entire thing of we and other because of partition. So these are the few examples like how India went through a lot, and I think now it's developing an identity with technology, with IT, and with sports and with achievements of individual players. But then I think around that time we went through a lot. Gandhi died. Yeah.
Yes, very much. In today's generation, is understanding that they're able to make a difference between humanity and the culture.
Right.
What we are. This era is really bringing all of us closer rather than parting ways. Fantastic,
Right.
ma'am. Ma'am, I would love to continue, but we will allow our beautiful Sangeeta ma'am to present her very gorgeous book. Sangeeta ma'am, the stage is yours. Sangeeta ma'am, we are unable to hear you.
Is it fine now?
Yes,
Yes, I'm so sorry. I was on mute. I didn't realize that.
that's
Okay.
right.
Thank you so much, Sudhaji. And my book today, what I'm presenting is Can Love Happen Twice? So, written by Ravinder Singh. And Ravinder Singh, he himself, should we wait for Sudhaji or?
No, no, that's fine.
Sorry.
It was just one hiccup. Okay.
Okay. So this is all about how the author falls in love again after his first, after his first love story. Basically, his first love story, he was his girlfriend in the story was is no more. Like she expires in the end of the story because of some accident. So he loses her in her life, and he thinks that he cannot be able to like someone else in the future and have that kind of connect or emotions with anyone else. So this story is all about that. That's the reason which kept this story. Things happened again in his life, which kept him going on. That's where it inspired him to write the story again. Another love story of his. He never believed that it this can could happen to him again. So he is an employee in one of the engineering multinational companies, and he is given a project to go to abroad and finish his project for about 4 to 5 months. And once he goes there, and he is being occupied with all his work every time and unable to meet his friends or be with his friends, And then usually abroad they have these Indian colonies where weekends they all meet and they have a good time just to know each other and communicate with each other in different ways. So he one of the weekends was his birthday, falls his birthday there, and he didn't know whom to invite. So one of his close colleague tells him to just tell people around to just come over to his house. So, and there's so many people come to his house on a weekend, like we see in the movies, that one person doesn't know anyone in the hall, but still is throwing a party to them only because he needs to interact with people and be with them. And so this girl over there, he meets this girl there in and he slowly starts how usually two people start talking to each other and then get closer to each other, and then that's how the story begins with. And whereas he has a good friendship with her, that does not have any strings attached with her. Slowly, when this girl tries to come closer to him, and once she realizes that there was she is in his house, and there was a book kept right next to her couch, and she picks up the book and she sees and she realizes that this man is an author. He's the author of this book and she wants to read that book, the entire book. And she is asking him to brief the book, but he doesn't want to do it because it is a love disaster for him. So he after that he never considered himself to be an even an author. He didn't want to write up anymore because one book was there and he was done with it. And then she says, okay, let me go through your book and let me know you through your book. So that's when she sits right in front of him and starts reading the book. And she's a quick reader, so she's going on with the emotions, and what she's reading in the book is reflecting on her face. And she doesn't want to show that emotions because the author of the book is sitting right in front of her, and she doesn't want to have that kind of commute with him while reading the book. And she decides after a few chapters, she decides to take the book to her guest house and read there. And she goes there, and here he is curious to know, at least he was okay with sitting in front of him and reading, because at least he could see what she was going through, what her expressions were, what is
Correct.
happening. But now she has gone to her
Okay.
house,
Yeah.
and he's so curious to know what is
Yes.
going on, in the book. Where is he in
Yeah.
the
Okay.
book, and what she wants to know in the book, what clarification he needs to give. Or he's concerned because he somewhere has a soft corner for this lady, and he
Mm.
doesn't want her to deviate from himself to deviate from that emotion of his, because there is something new happening to him and he's not able to believe that it's happening to him again. And he doesn't want, because of that book and that previous love story, to spoil his time now what's going on in his life. So
Awesome.
he's curious to know which part of the book she is in. He wants to call her but unable to call her and find out. And this girl is in tears, and she's just texting him saying that I'm in this part of the story. And
Okay.
he wants to explain, and she doesn't need this explanation because she's already into that book so much that she is feeling that book already that way. And then she finishes the book and she's like, literally devastated because of knowing that this girl who is no more, and he's left alone after uh, that part of
Okay.
his life.
Yes.
And
Yes.
she starts getting more closer to him because of the book, because she is feeling the book, she's already felt the book, she knows what the book is about, and she knows uh, how he can love, what extent can he go for
How intense was
a
his
person.
love for her?
Yes. How intense was it? So now she already starts feeling it. They don't express this to each other, and she comes to his house the next day, and it's very normal. They don't talk about the book, but she starts behaving as though she herself is his girlfriend.
Okay, she's
She's
already attracted
yeah,
towards it.
she's already attracted, and she's already doing things what usually two people start doing for each other. She's already
Okay,
doing that thing,
that's
and
nice.
unknowingly they start falling in love with each other. But still, this author Ravin doesn't want to believe in it because he doesn't believe in the second love again. That anyone can fall in love again, with the same intensity what they had in the previous story of theirs. So he still has to believe that he needs to do the same kind of things that what he had already done. And you can say he can't do anything different. If he has to do, he has to do it in the same go and in the same intensity. Otherwise he can't do it. So he
Yeah, but
starts doing the same thing with her. And and slowly their relation blooms starts blooming, and they start going out for dates, and they start doing all what young people do for each other in this relation. And the time comes where they have to depart because his project is got over, and the company way back in India is calling him back to India. And this is where they need to separate. And this
Achha,
girl is doing her MBA in this country.
okay,
So Germany, she is doing. They are in Germany, so they're doing it. She is doing it over there, and still her exams are, final year exams are going to has
give up.
still not happened. So
Okay,
this guy has to go back to India, and they have to, have that long distance relationship called long distance. So they
okay,
are. This is there are about 2 or 3 chapters on how they spend their time at the previous night before they depart. So this is a very cute relation, and a very cute talks what it goes on, and the very like how we see in movies, and how we've read about, or like in teenager or whatever we, everybody goes through this kind of relations. So they tend to go apart. He goes back to India, and every time they get a chance to talk, because of the time frame, because India has a different timing and that country has a different timing. So they
okay,
try to catch up with each other whenever they get time with each other. And
okay. That's nice.
here she is. Her parents are really, like in modern parents who allow her do anything, go do whatever they want to, and accept whomever she chooses as as a partner in life. But here, Ravin's parents were like that because of his first story. They are all, because he has gone through the depression. Seeing him go through the
They're more
depression,
secured.
yeah. So they're more concerned about his feelings towards the second relation. It's
Yes.
that. And here, one part, one place where their love story is going on, long distance is going on. In another place, he has to, frame like how every parent in concern, that story goes, two stories goes parallel to each other here. And then when she finishes with her exams, and then she's back to India. And obviously this guy is in Chandigarh and this lady is in Delhi, and he
Oh,
wants to he wants to meet her. He wants to be the first person to meet her when she lands here in India. So
understood.
he travels all the way there to Delhi. And he also plans how he can get his girlfriend to Chandigarh, how he can set up all those things. They plan about that. How he
Okay,
can
this is a
get her.
typical Indian movie, actually. What I'm seeing.
Seriously, how he can get her meet his parents, and
Okay.
both the parents meeting each other, and then they starting their up in their life and things like that. And meanwhile, when all this is happening, this girl, because there would be about 7 to 8 months or something, they are departed from each other. And because they are not in daily basis in front of each other, intimating with talks and with each other like that. So this girl starts getting slightly diverted towards a different part of life, which
Okay.
I can't say that she is getting into somebody else.
No,
But
she has
yes,
diverted herself. That has become the main part now.
yes. So when she comes here, she comes to India. When she meets him, she takes him to his family. And when he enters the house, it is a huge bungalow with huge, how Delhi bungalows are, like he starts thinking about the status, where she is and where he is, like that. How he would be able to, in case they get married, how he will be able to, match up with her, standard of livings and things like that. But still, he manages to, go meet the parents, and her father, yeah, the father asks her one question. uh, are you still keeping up with, how are you still keeping up with her? Because she's slightly a fickle-minded person. She doesn't decide things on her own. She needs
Okay.
somebody else to decide on her own, and whatever she decides, she doesn't stick on to that,
Oh,
thing.
it's
She
fluctuating.
needs a change in life every time,
Right.
be it her daily life, or be it her a person, or something like that. But he hasn't he did not understand first what he was talking about. And he was like, okay, yeah, I know her very well, I know her, what she likes and what she doesn't. And he's like, okay,
Father
when
knows
you
the
like her,
daughter
yeah, when you like her, then it is, you both need to decide about your life. This is what it is. And then they go to Chandigarh, and Chandigarh, they meet that, she meets her parents. And then when she sees his house, so she's a little, spectacle about
better. She gets
still
the
to be,
reality.
yeah, still to be or still not to be, like that, because
So,
she's lived in that kind of an lifestyle where
efficiently,
she
yeah.
thinks that she cannot adjust over here. And slowly, how this tutu meme goes on for little things, all those things start going, and they slowly separate from each other. And this is, getting separated from each other was okay with this girl, because she was already getting, away from him when she was in Germany. For him, it was a second time, and he couldn't take that she is going away from him. He couldn't believe. It took for him a long time to believe that he's falling in love again. And now it is taking more of a time for him to believe that this is happening with him for the second time, that departing part of it. And he loses his senses, and he accidentally meets with an accident on the same day of, so the same day and the same hour of, where his first girlfriend had met with an accident and expired.
Oh my God.
And he meets with an accident on the same day and the same hour, and it is like, a mere coincidence. And he is, literally insane now, too much of depression, literally insane. He's in, rehabilitant center he is in, and he's trying to recover there.
He
Okay.
got
And
into
because,
depression.
yeah, because he was not able to, talk to
Take
her
it.
and meet her. And she thinks that he is already gone. Because she doesn't know all this has gone, accident, all this has happened with him, what he's going through, she doesn't know about it. So what she had diverted herself, and she's just gone away with the notion. And
Meditation.
yeah, now he has his three friends who are narrating this story. What I've told you, this story is being narrated on 14th of February, on the Valentine's Day, in the studio of FM in Chandigarh. This is a story narrated by these three friends, that what happened to Ravindra. And Ravindra is one of the biggest authors over there, where people really love him. And and people are devastated by hearing his second love story, what's going on. And one of the friends had called her, in Germany, and told her, please listen to this FM station, where we are going to narrate your story. And she listens to the entire story of their love story, and what is the end, what happened to him after she left him. Pulled her back to India, and she went to the center, sits with him, helps him recover, and they move on with the story. So this is the story all about, coming back and going back to, from the separation to coming together. So this is all about that.
Oh, fantastic, ma'am. Very nicely narrated. It was all like we are watching a movie, actually. Thank you so much for that. Ma'am, what made you to pick this book or
What
read this
movie?
book?
Yeah. I'm a kind of person. I actually love everybody, you know, and I love to be loved by people. So for me, love stories are not like fairy tales or like that. I live them. It's that. So for me, something love stories really pull me to read them.
Okay. Maria ma'am, would you like to add something here? Would you like to share your thoughts here? What did you feel in listening to the very beautiful romantic movie, I would say, rather than a book? Maria ma'am,
Yeah.
you're muted. Yes. Ma'am, we are unable to hear you.
Yeah, I'm so sorry, I was in mute. So, more than the love story, I like the ashiki of the love story, where it is too intense, it's too desperate. There are such heavy emotions, and that love is inspiring the person to go up and beyond, to achieve, and to create, or to, like, I like that, and I also like the intense emotions of pain that follows love. So yeah, I like love stories that way. I like if it is it is of the books. I like that, and I like if there is trauma and tragedy too, because it makes it very real for us. For us,
True.
real today, the trauma and tragedy is the life that we lead. The urban life, the everyday struggles. But then, like when you read love stories, those tragedies and tragedies outside of that. So I like to read that in love stories.
Yes, very true. It's very rare in today's generation. We find these kind of love stories actually.
Correct.
Yeah.
Today's it's all about move on.
Mm.
If things doesn't work, let's move on. They don't want to give that time and space for to both the individuals to the love to flourish and grow in between them. Uh, they do it, but somewhere
Very few realize,
the communication is not realized. They don't want that intensity. What normally we used to find it in our eras, when 90s boys and I think 80s boys, when we all have been married. There you find these kind of intensity in the men. Um, Today somewhere today's generation lack of patience is taking the back seat, and the social media creates a wrong worm around as the stories, because there are comments which has been passed on, the stories have been built up there. That is also one of the main reason why relationships are not flourishing as it used to do before. I guess there was no social media then. I don't say that social media is bad, but social media is good. But the way we use it depends on us.
I
Um,
feel
there-
uh, I feel to that extent there's a lot of emotional apathy also in the
yes,
generation right now, where we are not actively investing in emotions as we used
true.
to before. So
Very true.
for us, prioritizing life is always about work, and
Wow.
like achievements. But I
Yes,
think largely 70% before, men and women used to prioritize relationships, family, good times, special moments over work and achievements. So
true,
even with us, when we put across introductions, or like we're talking to other people, we're always telling what we do, but we never tell who we are. So the
true.
dialogue, the narrative has changed. So I mean, if you think very closely that way, then I feel I really enjoy those kind of love stories, because I feel you reconnect to that intensity, and then you would want to live that intensity. Like my greatest career could also be just falling in love very deeply with one person and being too happy with that. Could
Very,
be
very
also a level of fulfillment, right?
true.
and
Very.
we've been lucky to have those kind of intense men in our lives that time when we got married to. So that remains, that way.
Yes, yes, very true. Sangeeta ma'am, when you read the book, was there any favorite part of yours which connected to you very instantly, and they said, "Yes, wow, this is fantastic. This is me
Yes.
here." Any of those instances, would you love to share it?
Yeah, I mean, here when when he has to come back to India, and when they are together, and there are five promises being made, with each other. So she five promises in the form of five feathers. So she's a kind of person. She's little tempered. She gets angry very soon, and short tempered kind of a person. So she says she gives each feather with each promise that if there is something excess happening in me, and I'm not able to control, you need to give me this feather and say, and I will leave that for you. Okay,
Okay,
at that moment, suppose I'm fighting, we are into a fight or in a discussion or in a kind of thing, and where you think that I'm not able to control myself, you just give me this feather and I will, just keep calm. I will not utter a word after that.
okay,
Those
nice.
kind of five promises she gives him in the form of feathers. So that part of it I really like, because as we were just talking before this, that this generation doesn't have that kind of intense feeling. So
True.
we know what it is, as
Yes.
that we know what actual love is, and we know what promises are and how to keep up those promises, and all those things, we know what it is. So that got me really connected because I'm a person who don't read books. I like to listen to books, audiobook.
Okay.
So when I'm listening to, closing my eyes and listening to the book, and I just flip into the moment,
Okay,
in that.
that's
So
nice.
that those things, five things that really got me connected to the book more.
Superb. Maria ma'am, not asking about Sangeeta's ma'am book, but when you are reading your book, were there any instances where you felt that this particular thing has happened, so it came in front of your eyes and made you feel like, oh, this shouldn't have happened. Were there any moment where it made you feel sad, or you felt like, okay, I learned something from this? Any of those moments, did you ever feel it while you're reading?
I think I was. It was when with this book that I'm presenting today with Franz Fanon, when he described mental disorders, and he how they came through with corruption, and it is an entire story of how one girl was a wife of a taxi driver was raped, because
Oh,
the taxi driver was part of a movement, and he was trying to stay safe so that he does not reveal the secrets of the movement in the time of war, and how that woman got raped by the officers, by the policemen, I mean of the French army, and like how she was exploited, and she also had a 1.5-year old daughter. So that entire story, when I went through, and then more than what the woman went through, it was about what the man went through when he found out that his wife was dishonored, and he didn't know whether he should accept her back or he shouldn't. And then later, when he's still part of the movement, and he was not close to his wife, and because it's a human need, and it's also described when he tried to connect with other women, he suffered impotence. So that entire journey of the man, and then later on, after the movement ended and the war ended, and when he was sent to the center, and that entire discussion about with Franz Fanon and the man, the taxi driver. So the names have not been revealed because they have maintained confidentiality in the book. So that entire conversation, so it made me feel that, oh my god, like any trauma, anything which is very tragic, which is very grave and horrid that happened around that time, had left a very bad impact, not just to the person it was happening to, but the people who were connected with it, and how that went into a very bad mental disorder in that particular person, and then probably would have again translated to her daughter, or maybe to more people of his family. So yeah, that's one of the stories that really hit hard.
It is actually indeed. Ma'am, Sangeeta ma'am, would you like to share your feedback, your takeaways from Maria's ma'am book presentation today?
Uh,
Your conclusion on it.
Actually, when I was hearing her talk, I mean, narrate her book, Kashmir Files was running in my mind.
Okay.
So
Oh,
it's
yeah.
something, it's something related,
Yes.
something closely related to Kashmir Files. Not
True.
that,
Mm.
because recent times, because I don't, my genre is not that, so I don't read those kind of books. So,
Yes.
but as she narrated, very well narrated, Maria. But for me, all these little these things of war and going apart with the families and things like that really depresses me. So I'm so sorry. I can't. When I was watching Kashmir Files also, I was little didn't want to watch that, but my husband was like, no, अब देखना है बैठ के, like that. You need to know what happened. I'm like, I definitely need to know what happened, but not like this. I mean, I can't take it. So,
True. Yeah,
um,
very true. Actually, end my family has watched Kashmiri Files, and I'm not able to gear up myself to watch. I
okay,
mean, I just watched one of the clips there in one of the FBs, and I said, okay, I can't take this. As an Indian and as a woman, the atrocities what they have gone through, what they've been through is something which we can't describe it in 3 hours of movie or how long, whatever the long duration is.
I would say Maria is a brave lady who is just reading it.
I like that. I mean, I feel that when you dive deep little into history, somewhere you feel more connected to the land that you live in, and
True.
somewhere it humbles you in many ways when you see pain and suffering. Then
Very
all of
true.
it that we go through right now feels very trivial in comparison to what they went. So, I mean, I feel I take it in a very optimistic light, and I feel that I'm glad where we are right now, and we are glad that we are not there, and that history has helped us, allowed us to understand things better, to
Yes.
not have it repeat again. So
Yes.
I think I like, and a lot of Indian authors written very beautifully around that time. Pushwan Singh, Amrita Pritam, Manto. There's also movie, and these guys have written so beautifully about what went through with partition and the status of India. So yeah, I like that kind of reading too. Like I like other genres, but I like this also.
Yeah,
Okay,
like
fantastic.
my elder son is too much interested in this genres like yours, Maria.
Oh, okay.
He keeps telling me about the Second World War and First World War. My mom ऐसा हुआ था, and because of this had happened. Because of this, India is like this. He keeps telling me
Because
a
they
lot.
read actually. Even my son, in the school they have started with from the fourth standard they have started off with the social science.
Yeah,
There's also included history there. A little bit of, I mean, they've just started off with that. So he keeps coming back and asking, "Did this happen?" He talks about Shivaji Maharaj, and he's like, "Oh, did he really do all these things? Did Mahatma Gandhi really brought us the freedom? Did this movement happen?" The kids get curious to know the history. They want to know, what are the things, what are the events which happened during those times, and we are able to connect because we ourselves have read those things, and we ourselves love the way what our Indian history is all about. So we'll be able to put it across to them, explain to them the what the event was and how the event was. So it was fantastic to know actually. Maria ma'am, yeah, yes, Sangeeta.
no, nothing. I wasn't saying.
Okay, great. Maria ma'am, would you love to say a few things about Sangeeta ma'am's book presentation today?
I
Your
I like
takeaways?
I really like the story that you presented, and I really but was it fictional? I was not clear whether it was fictional or it was a real story. Just fictional.
It's no, it's a real story.
Oh, okay, so then that's really amazing. I think I would want to read a book like that. Maybe usually I pick up such books when I am reading very dry books, and suddenly when you read this, so it just changes your mind and you go
True.
elsewhere. But I really like the way you presented. I really like the story. I liked, what he went through, and then somewhere I feel the pain and suffering helped him with his second relationship. So yeah, all in all, actually, and because I'm dealing with a very different book, so I was in a very different
It was
space.
a refreshment for you, actually.
Yeah, it was refreshment. I mean, this was refreshment too, but then it felt very different for me to
Different.
take it
Yes.
now and
Yeah.
accept it.
That does switch over to place,
Yeah.
actually.
Yeah, it was
Okay.
a book I picked up, and because in my club over here in Nagpur, they told me, "Oh my God, why have you picked this book?" And then when we met yesterday for the demo, and I was a little shocked. Okay, then there's such polar. It's polar. One is Nagpur, one is
Not
South.
also
It's fun.
that attracts, actually. Thank you so much for the wonderful speakers, Maria ma'am and Sangeeta ma'am. Thank you so much for coming across and presenting these beautiful books. It was great listening to both of you. I did, learned a lot of things from the both the books, and would love to read it in the coming days too. Thank you so much. I once again thank both my beautiful and wonderful speakers for coming across and presenting the books.
Thank you,
Thank
Sudha
you.
ma'am, for having
Thank
us, and you've been a
you.
very wonderful moderator and a very kind listener.
Thank you. Thank
Thank
you
you,
so much.
Sudhaji. Thank you, Sudhaji, for giving us time and this opportunity to present our book, whatever we were reading,
Thank you.
and I'm looking forward for more.
Sure. Definitely. Thank you so much. Have a great day. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye bye. Bye, both of you.